You've been playing sports your entire life. Since you were a child, you had practices twice a week and games on Saturday. When you got to high school, you started practicing 2 hours a day, every day, after school, and possibly had 1 or 2 games during the week. Now you're off to college. While you're still planning on playing your favorite sport, you know that this is also a time to focus on your future, even if that consists of becoming a professional athlete. You still need to keep your grades up to be eligible for your college sporting career. You are also required to practice 30 to 40 hours a week while risking injury upon your body. You have to attend meetings, trainings, practices, and travel for games. You are part of one of the biggest organizations at your university. You see hundreds of thousands of people fill the stands to watch you play your sport. Fans are screaming your name, buying your jersey, and watching you play. You bring thousands and sometimes millions of dollars to your university, yet you don't see any of it. You are struggling to buy your next meal and a new pair of shoes for next week's game. The fact that college athletes dedicate many hours a day to their sport, take an immense amount of risk to their bodies, and bring their universities millions of dollars are all reasons why they should be compensated. I will start off by giving you the normal schedule for a college athlete. According to the NCAA, the official rules confine students' in-season practice to only about 20 hours a week. However, according to Business Insider, the average hours student-athletes practiced in 2010 during the men's basketball season was 39.2 hours, with women's basketball right behind with 37.6. Men's baseball and football came in at 42.1 hours and 43.3 hours. All other men's sports averaged at about 32 hours, while all other women's sports averaged a little higher at 33.3. These are hours spent strictly on practice, not going to class or studying. According to CNN, weeks that consist of road games often include a 37-hour stretch that includes travel, practice, a 3 to 4 hour game, and little time for sleep. Let's remember these athletes are still students taking a full-time class schedule in order to be eligible to play these sports. They have to attend class and fit in the time to study upon their 30 to 40 hour practice schedule. There have been arguments about the fact that college students have other college students have busy schedules when trying to work full-time jobs and go to school. The difference is that those students who work full-time are getting paychecks. Now that I have informed you of their schedule, I will move on to the risk that comes along with playing college sports. There are millions of students who play college sports just because they like the sport itself. There are also student athletes who play college sports for one reason: to make it to the pros. These select groups of student athletes have one goal in mind, and that is to be a professional athlete. An injury could have a significant negative effect on the outcome of their dream and their career. Dante Love was a student athlete playing basketball for Ball State University. He was expected to be a first-round draft pick in the NBA draft until he had a career-ending spinal injury. Marquise Lee played football at the University of Southern California when he suffered a knee injury which caused him to drop to the second round of the NFL draft, costing him half of the salary he could have made before the knee injury. Finally, Ifo Ekpre-Alomu played football at the University of Oregon when he suffered a dislocated kneecap and torn ACL. This injury caused him to fall to the 7th round of the NFL draft, costing him millions of dollars. All three of these examples are how college sports injuries can cause student athletes to lose out on their expected career. In addition to putting their bodies at risk, spending up to 40 hours a week on their sport, student athletes also bring universities millions of dollars. According to USA Today Sports, the NCAA had $989 million in total revenue in 2014. Out of that nearly $1 billion, the student athletes that brought in most of that revenue were not compensated. The NCAA states that it would be impossible to compensate players because they do not make enough. I have created a chart to show you how the funding breaks down over the NCAA. Okay, so in my chart you can see that the NCAA as a whole makes $989 million in its 2014 fiscal year. Athletic Director David Williams is the highest paid athletic director, making $3.23 million per year. The NCAA football coach Nick Saban is the highest paid football coach, and he coaches for Alabama, making $7.16 million a year. NCAA men's basketball coach John Calipari from Kentucky makes $6.35 million a year. Student athletes make $0. Now that I have explained all the aspects that student athletes contribute to, you may say, yes, maybe these athletes should be paid, but how would it work? In January of 2015, CBS Sports released an article stating that the Power 5 leagues passed a cost of attendance approval. The proposal states that the Power 5 leagues will increase the value of athletic scholarships towards covering expenses beyond tuition, the federally determined full cost of attendance. The exact dollar amount has yet to be determined. However, University of Texas set a tentative amount of $4,500 to $5,000 per year. This would cover additional costs for student athletes. If this sort of agreement were established for all student athletes, it would give them the compensation that they deserve. This would also relieve the stress of wondering how they are going to pay their bills or when they will be able to buy groceries. This would be a small contribution to the athletes who bring the universities millions of dollars. The solution for paying student athletes would be to take a small fund from the NCAA revenue and distribute it among the student athletes for their everyday needs. These athletes would not be part of a bidding war for the amount of money they should receive, not based on their talent. These are still student athletes, not professionals. Universities should come up with a lump sum for the cost of living expenses for the average college student, and that should be granted to these students. The amount of dedication, discipline, and determination these athletes put into their sport and the university needs to be recognized. These athletes need to be compensated for the fortune they bring their universities and the NCAA as a whole. As I come to a close, I would like to show you this chart once again so that you truly see the dramatic difference in compensation between the NCAA as a whole, athletic directors, coaches, and players. At one point or another, we have all been to college. Many of us have had to work through college to support ourselves. So imagine not getting a paycheck after your 40-hour work week. As I said in the opening statement, these student athletes put more into their sport than anything else, sometimes risking their health and well-being as well as their academics. They are making the NCAA millions upon millions of dollars, and they should be compensated for all that they do. I hope that all of you continue to spread the solution and demand that the NCAA compensate these student athletes.